What if I told you that the richest, most nourishing soil for your garden doesn't come from an expensive bag at the store, but from the scraps right in your own kitchen? For generations, gardeners have relied on composting to feed their soil. But in recent years, fermenting, an old method with a new twist, has entered the scene. Both promise healthier plants, tastier harvests, and less waste. But here's the question: when it comes to delivering the most powerful nutrients, which method truly wins? Before we reveal the answer, I'd love to hear from you. Do you think it's the traditional path of composting, or the surprising newcomer, fermenting? Share your guess below. Let me tell you about Grandma Rose. She lived through some of the hardest times, when money was tight and every resource had to be stretched. Her little backyard garden wasn't just a hobby, it was survival. Instead of tossing out potato peels, eggshells, and wilted lettuce, she would tuck them away in a corner pile, slowly turning scraps into rich, dark soil. And if something fermented in the kitchen, she didn't see it as spoiled, she saw it as food for her garden. The result? Rows of tomatoes so sweet the neighbors swore they were candy, and greens so lush they seemed to spring back after every harvest. Back then, nothing went to waste. Every peel, every shell, every bit of old food had a purpose. That wisdom carried families through tough times, and it's just as powerful today. Because the truth is, we still have the same choice: throw scraps away, or turn them into something that breathes life back into our soil and our tables. Whether we call it composting or fermenting, the lesson remains the same. What looks like waste can actually be the secret to abundance. And just like Grandma Rose proved in her little garden, the most nourishing harvests don't come from what we buy, but from what we wisely reuse. So, as we look at these two methods, composting and fermenting, let's carry forward that same spirit of frugality, resilience, and care for the earth. What is composting? Let's start with the old classic, composting. At its heart, composting is nature's way of recycling. Instead of tossing your kitchen scraps and garden clippings into the trash, you let them break down slowly into a dark, crumbly, earthy-smelling material we call compost. Think of it as turning yesterday's waste into tomorrow's garden gold. Here's how it works. In plain terms, when you pile up things like fruit peels, vegetable scraps, grass clippings, and dry leaves, tiny helpers like worms, fungi, and bacteria get to work. Over weeks and months, they chew, mix, and transform those scraps into rich soil matter. It's almost like baking a cake, but instead of using flour and sugar, you're using apple cores and coffee grounds. And instead of minutes in the oven, it takes time, air, and patience. Why do gardeners, especially seasoned ones, love compost so much? Because it gives the soil exactly what it craves. Compost adds organic matter that improves soil structure, making heavy clay soils looser and sandy soils better at holding water. That means less worrying about your plants drying out too quickly or drowning in puddles. The nutrients in compost are also released, slowly and steadily, like a slow-cooked stew, feeding your garden over time. Your plants get a balanced diet, without the sugar rush of chemical fertilizers that can sometimes do more harm than good. And let's not forget, it keeps kitchen and yard waste out of the landfill, where it would otherwise create methane gas, a big contributor to climate problems. For seniors especially, composting can feel like a familiar rhythm. Many of you may remember your parents or grandparents keeping a compost heap behind the house, or even tossing scraps to the chickens. Nothing was wasted, and everything had a purpose. Composting is simply continuing that tradition in a modern, earth-friendly way. Of course, it's not always as neat and tidy as it sounds. A compost pile needs the right balance of greens, like vegetable scraps and grass clippings, and browns, like dried leaves, shredded paper, or straw. Too many wet scraps, and it can turn slimy or smelly. Too many dry materials, and it may just sit there doing nothing. The trick is finding balance, and once you do, the pile practically takes care of itself. Many seniors find joy in the process. It's hands-on, simple, and satisfying. Each time you turn that pile or check on your bin, you're reminded that life has a cycle, from table to soil, from soil back to table. And every shovelful of finished compost feels like a gift you gave to your garden, with your own hands. So if you've never tried it, or maybe tried once and thought it was a stinky mess, don't be discouraged. It's a learning process, and even the messiest attempts bring lessons. The beauty of composting is that it mirrors life. It may take time, patience, and a little balance, but the reward is worth it. What is fermenting for the garden? Now let's talk about fermenting, the method some gardeners call the fast track to nourishing soil. While composting has been the tried and true classic for generations, fermenting is an approach that's gaining attention because it works quickly, can be done even in small spaces, and gives your plants a boost in ways that compost can't. In simple terms, fermenting is the process of letting your food scraps or plant matter break down in a controlled, low-oxygen environment, often in a sealed container, to create a nutrient-rich liquid fertilizer. You may have heard of methods like bokashi, fermented plant teas, or other homemade brews. The idea is that, instead of waiting months for a pile of scraps to turn into soil, you allow natural microbes to transform the scraps into a liquid form full of life, microbes, enzymes, and soluble nutrients that your plants can drink up immediately. Think of it as giving your garden a healthy smoothie instead of slow-cooked stew. Here's why seniors, especially those with limited space or time, might find this method appealing. Fast results. Because the nutrients are in liquid form, plants can absorb them almost immediately. Your tomatoes, peppers, or herbs get a quick energy boost. Beneficial microbes. Fermented liquids are teeming with helpful microbes that support soil health, suppress harmful pathogens, and improve plant resilience. It's like giving your garden its own personal probiotic. Space-friendly. You don't need a big backyard to ferment your scraps. A kitchen bucket, jar, or small bin is enough. Even apartment gardeners can join in. Frugal and sustainable, just like composting. Fermenting keeps your kitchen waste out of the trash and transforms it into something valuable, feeding your garden, and saving money on store-bought fertilizers. Of course, fermenting has its quirks. The process requires careful attention to prevent mold or off smells, and some gardeners find the idea of fermenting scraps a little strange at first. But once you see how quickly your garden responds, the new shoots, the vibrant leaves, the stronger stems, it's hard not to be impressed. And there's something inherently satisfying about it. Just as our grandparents watched scraps quietly transform in a compost heap, today we can witness the same magic in a jar or bucket. You're not just feeding your plants, you're nurturing life, harnessing natural processes, and keeping the cycle of growth alive. For seniors, this method also has a charm of discovery. You get to experiment, mix, and watch the invisible work of microbes turn yesterday's food into today's garden vitality. And just like baking bread or brewing tea, it's a process that rewards patience, curiosity, and care. So, what do you think does the idea of fermenting your kitchen scraps into a nutrient-packed garden tonic sound fascinating or a little too strange? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Compost versus fermenting. Now that we've explored both composting and fermenting, let's put them side by side and see how they measure up. Think of this as a friendly nutrient showdown, where both methods have their strengths, and both can transform your garden, but in slightly different ways. Composting, the classic method your grandparents likely relied on. Composting is all about patience. You feed your soil slowly and steadily, adding kitchen scraps, garden clippings, and yard waste to a pile or bin. Over time, microorganisms and worms break it all down into dark, crumbly compost that enriches the soil. The benefits are long-term: improved soil structure, increased water retention, and a steady supply of nutrients that continue to feed your plants throughout the growing season. It's a method that rewards consistency, care, and time. And just like life, its richness comes slowly, but deeply. Fermenting, the newer approach that's catching the eye of modern gardeners. Fermenting is faster, delivering nutrients in liquid form that plants can absorb immediately. Think of it as a nutrient-rich tonic for your garden, full of beneficial microbes, enzymes, and soluble nutrients. With fermenting, even small spaces can become nutrient hubs. A jar on the counter, a bucket in the kitchen, or a small container in the backyard can produce a potent liquid fertilizer in just a few days or weeks. It's perfect when your garden needs a quick boost, when seedlings are just starting, or when plants show signs of fatigue. Here's the key emotional takeaway. It's not about choosing one forever. It's about knowing when each works best. Some gardeners start the season with compost, laying down a strong foundation for the soil. Then, When plants begin to grow, they add fermented teas or liquids to give their vegetables, flowers, and herbs an immediate lift. Others prefer to alternate, letting compost build the soil slowly while using fermenting to energize specific plants at critical moments. Both methods honor the same principle that Grandma Rose practiced: nothing should go to waste, and every bit of effort can yield abundance. So, when it comes to the showdown, think less about winners and losers, and more about timing, purpose, and what your garden needs at each stage. Compost nurtures the soil for the long haul. Fermenting gives a rapid, targeted boost. Together, they are like old wisdom and new science working hand in hand. If you had to pick just one method for your garden, which would you choose? Slow, steady composting, or fast, nutrient-packed fermenting? Comment below with your choice and tell us why. Your story could help another gardener decide what works best for their own backyard oasis. The senior advantage. For gardeners in their golden years, both composting and fermenting offer unique advantages, especially when approached with the wisdom and patience that comes from a lifetime of experience. Let's take a closer look at how each method fits perfectly into a senior gardener's lifestyle. Composting. There's something deeply satisfying about composting at a relaxed pace. It doesn't demand constant attention or quick reactions, making it ideal for seniors who enjoy a steady, reliable system. You can set up a compost bin or a simple pile, add kitchen scraps and yard waste over time, and let nature take care of the rest. Turning the pile every now and then is enough to keep the process moving. The reward is slow but meaningful, a rich, crumbly soil that will feed your garden season after season. For seniors who value consistency, reflection, and the quiet joy of seeing life grow steadily, composting mirrors a lifetime of nurturing, slow, patient, and ultimately abundant. Fermenting. On the other hand, fermenting offers a faster, smaller scale approach that's perfect for seniors with limited space or physical energy. Maybe your garden is a few pots on a balcony or a small backyard patch. A simple jar or bucket of fermenting scraps can create liquid fertilizer in just days or weeks, providing a quick nutrient boost without heavy lifting or large piles. Fermenting is ideal for moments when plants need a fast lift, seedlings that are struggling, potted herbs that need a little extra love, or vegetables showing signs of fatigue. It's a method that rewards attention and curiosity, and it brings the excitement of seeing immediate results. Even for those with limited time or mobility, both methods celebrate senior wisdom. What's beautiful about both composting and fermenting is that they honor a principle seniors know well: nothing should go to waste. This is the same wisdom our grandparents and great-grandparents practiced. Leftover peelings, wilted vegetables, old tea leaves, everything can find a new purpose in the garden. Both methods are frugal, sustainable, and deeply satisfying, reminding us that the simplest resources often produce the richest rewards. For the Evergreen seniors, the choice isn't about which method is better. It's about aligning the technique with your lifestyle, your garden size, and your energy. Some may prefer the gentle rhythm of composting, savoring the steady transformation over months. Others may enjoy the immediate gratification of fermenting, feeling the rush of nutrients energizing their plants in days. And many gardeners combine the two, letting compost build the foundation while fermented liquids provide targeted boosts. Ultimately, both methods empower seniors to keep gardening as a joyful, rewarding activity without the need for expensive fertilizers or complicated machinery. They allow you to nurture life in a way that's practical, sustainable, and deeply connected to tradition. The verdict: the one that delivers the best nutrients. After looking closely at both composting and fermenting, it's time to answer the question everyone's been waiting for. Which method delivers the best nutrients for your garden? The short answer is fermenting. Fermenting transforms kitchen scraps and plant matter into a liquid powerhouse full of soluble nutrients, enzymes, and beneficial microbes. Because it's liquid, plants can absorb it almost immediately, providing a fast, concentrated boost to growth. Whether you're nurturing seedlings, energizing potted herbs, or giving your tired vegetables a lift, fermenting gets results quickly. It's like giving your garden a nourishing smoothie that's ready to drink, delivering what plants need in days rather than months. But before you rush to abandon your compost heap, Let's be clear, composting isn't going anywhere. While fermenting delivers a quick nutrient punch, composting is all about long-term soil health. Compost improves soil structure, increases water retention, and gradually feeds your plants over the growing season. It's slow, steady, and sustainable, providing the foundation for a healthy, resilient garden year after year. Here's the real takeaway. The magic happens when you use both methods together. Think of it as a 1-2 punch for your garden. Compost lays the groundwork, enriching the soil and supporting life beneath the surface. Fermented liquids provide targeted, fast-acting nutrients that your plants can absorb immediately. When combined, they create a balanced, thriving ecosystem where soil and plants flourish together. It's the best of both worlds, old wisdom and modern science working hand in hand. For seniors, this approach is especially empowering. It allows you to garden at your pace, respecting your energy levels, yard space, and lifestyle. You can maintain a slow, steady compost pile, adding scraps over time, while experimenting with small batches of fermented teas or liquids in jars or buckets. You're not choosing one method over the other. You're giving your garden the attention, care, and nourishment it deserves, in a way that's both practical and deeply satisfying. And there's something poetic about this combination. It mirrors the life lessons we've learned over the years. Patience and consistency, composting, paired with curiosity and action, fermenting, create results that are richer and more rewarding than either method alone. Your garden becomes a living testament to resourcefulness, wisdom, and the joy of turning what was once discarded into something that feeds life. So what do you think? Will you try fermenting for a fast nutrient boost? Rely on composting for long-term soil health? Or combine both for the ultimate garden success? Share your plans and experiences in the comments. Your story might just inspire another senior gardener to take their soil to the next level. Fermenting or composting? The truth is, both are gifts from yesterday's scraps. They remind us of a simple but powerful lesson our grandparents lived by: nothing is wasted. And even what seems old or forgotten can be transformed into something full of life. Each peel, shell, or wilted leaf has the potential to nourish your garden, feed your plants, and bring joy to your heart as you watch them grow. For seniors, this is more than gardening. It's a connection to a time when frugality, patience, and creativity weren't just values. They were necessities. By practicing composting or fermenting, you're honoring that wisdom, while also giving your garden the tools it needs to thrive in the modern world. Whether you're adding scraps to a quiet compost pile, watching them slowly turn into rich soil, or stirring up a jar of fermented tea and seeing plants perk up overnight, you're engaging in a process that's practical, sustainable, and deeply satisfying. Remember, there's no single right method. Composting gives your garden long-term strength, while fermenting offers a fast nutrient boost. The true magic happens when we use them together, creating a rhythm of care and abundance that reflects both patience and action. It's a gentle reminder that gardening and life is about balance, resourcefulness, and the joy of turning small efforts into meaningful results. If this video sparked an idea or inspired you to try something new in your garden, give it a like. Let us know you're ready to put these tips into practice. Share this video with a fellow gardener, neighbor, or friend who appreciates practical wisdom. They might find inspiration in your story or decide to try composting or fermenting themselves. And don't forget to subscribe to the Evergreen. Seniors, where the lessons of the past guide us, the joy of gardening connects us, and the wisdom of experience helps us grow a future full of life. Your garden is waiting, and every scrap has a purpose. Let's honor the old ways, embrace new methods, and continue to nurture life, one peel, one leaf, and one loving effort at a time. Together, we can turn yesterday's scraps into tomorrow's flourishing garden.